welcome back to Miss and Mrs. I'm Shatara.
I'm Elise. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe below.
So today we are talking about what would we tell our younger selves. So enjoy the pictures that come across. So this actually came up because recently, and this is not something I did as a kid, like I didn't reach out for advice to other people. But recently this girl that we go to, I don't want to say girl, but this young woman that we go to church with, she had posted on her Facebook, like, what would 30 and 40 year olds tell someone in their 20s? And so I just started just posting all kind of stuff, and I was going back like,
I was
wait
trying
a minute,
to keep it short and sweet. she went in
because it's just so much, like, if hindsight is like 2020, and it's just like a lot of things, if I would have listened to my mom, with a lot of things, if I would have just slowed down in some things, if I would have just thought about the choices and the decisions that I was making, I could have avoided so much. I mean, I'm not regretful of anything. You know, my past is a past, but I've learned and grown from it. Like, we kind of need that stuff anyway, but to help somebody else out, to stop somebody else from falling into the same ditches that we've, you know, fallen in, you know, that's what it's all about.
I agree. And although I think experiencing things on your own is the best teacher for you, because I mean, you could tell people something all day, they won't, some people just won't get it until they go through it themselves. But I think, I mean, even when she posted that, I was like, that's because she was the second young woman to post that I'm friends with on Facebook. So it was really like nice to see that they are reaching out and that they have that platform to reach out to so many different older women, just to get different perspectives of what older women would say to a 20-something-year-old.
Right. And I think even in our 30s, you know, we're in our mid-30s now, even in our 30s, I guess we don't even think to still be like, okay, if people in their 40s or 50s, what would you say to somebody in your 30s? You know? And do you have people like that in your life?
I do. So I have a friend that's exactly 10 years older than me. And I feel like sometimes when I make certain decisions, I reach out to her just to get her thoughts, because she's kind of been there, done that. And so, I mean, even when I was in my 20s, I looked up to her. She was my boss. That's how I met her. And I remember one day I was just out of work. I got dressed. I went to the mall and I was like, I'm leaving this mall with a job because I just need to have a job at this point and I don't care what it is. And she interviewed me on the spot, and before I even got home, she called me and offered me the job. And I mean, she has been in my career path ever since. So it's like I learned so much from her, and we've become really good friends over the years. So I do reach out to her a lot, especially when it comes to like employment or looking for jobs. And then she knows a lot of people and have a lot of connections, so it's always really great to just talk to her and think things through with her. But it's funny because she'll reach out to me about certain life things too, and because she's single, but she is 10 years older than me, so she'll be like, what do you think I should go? And I'll be like, girl, go be social. Go do it.
But that relationship, that give and take, but she's still older than you for that, you know, that advice. You know, I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't really know if I have somebody older that I really go to. Like, I may have people that I'll text. Well, I'll take that back because I don't want to diminish that relationship. But I do have people I'll text, and I may not be, like, sometimes I can be kind of private, and I'm working on that. But I do have people that I'll text, like, y'all just pray for me. You know, and then there are other people, like, in my life, I'll say just pray for me, and then they'll just encourage me right then and there. You know what I mean? That I don't even have to go into detail or...
Right. And I don't think that person always has to be older. I feel like we do that.
Oh,
even in our little circle.
Absolutely.
I feel like we'll text the group and say something, and you be like, you know, just get different perspectives of what all of us have to say.
Right. Oh, absolutely. So, that's why your circle is so important.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to say, if you don't got people in your life that can encourage you, that can also correct you, or not correct you in a like in a judgmental type of way, but to be like, you know, I don't think you should do that, or think about it this way, or to offer alternatives, not no yes people. I definitely don't have no yes people in my life.
I don't either, because this one will tell you in a second.
No, but and y'all too, you at least be like, no, you're wrong.
But what I can admire about you is you will admit when you're wrong. Like, if she called like this and this happened, we'd be like, but what did you say? Like, what did you do? And she'll tell on herself. She'll tell on herself.
Well, nobody ever have to tell on me. My grandma would be like, well, won't nobody ever have to tell on she? I'll tell on myself. But okay, so we are talking about, and just some things to think about, and share this video with your friends. Share this video if you have children, boys and girls, things and grow. And hopefully sometimes they don't have to go through some stuff, because sometimes some situations you go through is literally like life or death. And it's like, man, if I could have just told that person, or if I could have just shared, you know what I mean? And just, it wouldn't have to be like this. So,
and unfortunately, I think it's a little harder for boys.
Yeah.
Because it is hard for them to reach out to somebody.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's so important to let boys express themselves, and I think they grow up thinking they can't, and that's
like crying is weak.
Yeah, like they can't cry, or they can't say how they feel or express their emotions, and it's like, but you can.
You really can. But yeah, I'm excited about this topic.
Me too.
So, all right, you can start us off.
Okay, so I mean, I had to take notes on this one, y'all, because I really had to think about things that I went through as my younger self. But the first thing, so like I said, it was two girls who posted that same question on Facebook, and the first thing I told both of them was keep your peace and control your happiness. Because I feel like growing up, I was always so worried about what other people thought. And I think it's because I have a twin sister, and we were always being compared to each other. And I would always be like, well, what would Lisa do? What would they think if I did this and Lisa didn't do this? And so it would literally drive me crazy sometimes. Yes. So it was like, keep your peace. And if it's going to cost you your peace, let that go. Let it go and control your own happiness. Sometimes we put our happiness into other people, and then you become a wreck because you done gave them so much control over your feelings and the things you think, and it's just not worth it. And then the other thing that I wish I would have done, earlier in life, is have a separate bank account for savings. Because now I'm 33 going on 34. This probably in the last 2 years is the first time I've actually had a savings account with money in it. And I think it was because I've always had my checking and savings together. So it was easy to just be like, I'll replace that money.
Right.
I'll replace that money. Transfer. So then one day I got a separate account. And this is when I had my daughter. I ended up with a second account, and I was like, okay, I'm going to put money into this account for a savings account. And ever since, even the first 3 years of that didn't work out. But I finally got the hang of it and got control of it. So, even if it's just a small amount, put it in there, have it come out your check. You don't even see it. You won't even miss it.
Right. That's good.
So I really wish I had that savings a long time ago.
So I have a lot too, and we'll just go back and forth with each other. But I think one thing I would say, I would trust God sooner at a younger age and not look at it so much as religion. Because I purposely walked away from the church because of people, growing up. So it's just like, man, it's like, he's the same Holy Spirit in everybody, but I could have had wisdom to not go down certain routes that I did in certain paths. So I probably would have been for real about it back then. Not saying that I wouldn't have still had some same experiences, but I believe I would have had a little bit more wisdom. Yeah. You know what I mean? Even when it comes to money, relationships, friendships, period. And just the things that I've done. You know what I mean? And then, let me see.
Can I touch on that for a second?
Yeah.
So I think, you're absolutely right, because I think I've done the same thing. But I think it's because of how I grew up in church.
Yeah.
And, I love the church I grew up in, the people I was around. But when you're younger, you're used to listening to older people telling you what to do. When you now, until this day, I feel like all I learned in church as a child, or the only things that stuck with me, don't have sex before you marry, don't drink, don't cuss.
Don't a whole bunch of rules.
Yeah, it's like, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, or you're gonna go to hell.
Yeah.
That's it. And I'm like, well, dang, we can't do nothing.
Right.
Like, we gonna go to hell. Everything we do, we gonna go to hell.
Right. It was so many rules.
Hard
yeah.
to get past all of that.
Yes. And it's like, it makes you like, I don't want no parts.
Yeah. So then you don't even realize how good God is, because all you were taught was, don't do this.
The don'ts.
And you're gonna go to hell.
Right.
But be perfect so you can go to heaven.
Right.
And it's like,
where's the room? Like me, I felt like I understand. Like, my thing is this, like, I understand that you're supposed to be striving towards something, but they made it seem like it was no process involved.
Exactly.
And that's the part, like, I wish I would have known for myself, or, but it literally was like a turn off switch in me. But I feel like it was a complete just off switch. Like, it literally turned off in me. And as soon as I turned 18 and went away to school, Shatara was out of there. Like, I wasn't trying to. It was like I went from one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum.
So did I.
But we kept, and even in that, it's testimonies that I know that only God could have kept me. So thank God for that.
Exactly. I mean, and not saying that I gave up on church or God or any of that. I just didn't go to church anymore. And
I wasn't trying. I wasn't checking for it. Don't talk to me about it.
But we were never taught that it's okay to mess up and come back. Like, it's okay to come to church with your mess.
Your mess.
That's where you should go, with your mess. We weren't taught that. It was like we were taught to come in here as a good person. So it wasn't until
you had to have it already together before coming.
And so then you sit there feeling judged, like.
And then the other, even since we're talking about that part, and then I had people in my life that did go to church every Sunday, but they still acted a certain way with no regard at all. Right. And it's like, okay, what's right or what's wrong? It's confusing. And don't get me wrong, I understand the process, but just no regard. It's like, okay, we doing the same thing, so why do I have to go? But that was just, I didn't mean to go that deep.
I know, me either. But
I would have kind of gave God a real chance back then. Yeah. But I'm grateful that they were still here.
Absolutely.
You touched on peace and happiness, and just even speaking off the happiness, just really understand that you are in control of your happiness. I mean, even I put so much of that on Alonzo. Like I said before, like, I didn't come into my marriage as a whole person already. I had a lot of growing up to do inside of my marriage. But I put so much of that responsibility on him that it broke us. You know what I mean? And I remember him telling me one time, look, I don't know what you got to do. I don't know if you need to go pray. And he told me, he was like, you're not spending enough time with God because I can't give you this. He told me that before. And because I was looking for him to fulfill that in me. And it's just like, and this was recent. Yeah. A couple years ago, but recent for us to be married almost 10 years, But just, understanding that nobody else is in control of your happiness but you. Not your pastor, not your parents, really. You know what I mean? Nope. Nobody is. Not your relationships. You know what I mean? So just really just owning that and understanding that. Another lesson that I would another thing I would tell my younger self is to be more grateful. I was the only child for a long time, so I kind of got stuff handed to me a lot, and I knew how to get stuff from certain people. Manipulative, let's just call it what it is. As a child, but just to be more grateful. And I was a giver too. Don't get me wrong. My parents are givers, and I am a giver, but just to be more grateful, because I feel like that carries an attitude in itself. You know what I mean? And it's attractive just to have a genuinely grateful heart, not to have an entitlement attitude. Right. You know what I mean? Because nobody owes us anything. And I remember my mom having to tell me that when I was a child, like, I don't owe you nothing. Yep. You know what I mean? I only owe you somewhere to live and to feed you.
Clothes.
And some clothes. And to feed you. And it's just like, sometimes our attitudes can be so jacked up, but I would tell that to younger people, just be grateful. There's so many people that do not have what you have. Even if you feel like you don't have nothing, you have something that somebody else wants.
Yes. So, as you're saying that, I think about the things I say to my 5-year-old. because I can admit my baby is spoiled, but I can
She's not a brat.
She's not a
it's
brat.
It's a difference.
Because my baby is very grateful and thankful for the things that she has and the things that she get. And my baby thanks God all the time for the things that she has and the things that she wants and all of that. But what I can say is sometimes she will get besides herself, and I will have a conversation with her like, I'm your mother. My job is to keep you alive, and that's it. I don't have to buy you things. I don't have to give you things. I really don't care about the things you want. Like, none of that. And I will have to teach her, like, at the age of 5, sometimes I'm explaining myself to her, like, I don't have to buy you anything.
And it's true.
And you need to be grateful, but I think she gets it.
She do.
And I mean, for these kids these days, they just like technology. So I mean, they don't want just Barbie dolls and stuff. Like, they want
tablets,
expensive things.
iPhones and stuff.
So I mean, I feel like teaching kids to be grateful early is important, because it will only get harder. And I mean, my baby, she is spoiled, but she is very grateful. And I'm gonna make sure that, because listen.
She is. And another thing I had on here that made me think about Bae was don't be wasteful. And I remember one time we were out at the store, and this was a phase. She liked ice cream.
Because now she don't.
So she said, I was like, Bailey, you want some ice cream? You know, before I brought her home or something. She was like, no, we have ice cream at home, so you don't have to get it. Okay, I keep my money in my pocket. Thank you. But you know, just even as kids, to not be wasteful, like, we just go through stuff, and then we looking back like, where did the money go? And that carries on into adulthood. You know, when it's not trained or taught early on. You know, I'm looking back like, man, I wish I would have paid attention to bills more. I wish I would have paid attention to how to save. You know what I mean? Just paying attention to those things that'll really prepare you for life.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Like, I had terrific parents, but again, I feel like we were very independent children. And so some things we just kind of learned or taught ourselves, because I don't actually, like, I remember my daddy taking me to the bank and opening up a bank account, getting me checks and stuff like that, but it was kind of left at that. Like, it wasn't like, I wasn't taught how to balance the checkbook. I wasn't taught like how to save money, what to do with money, like how to keep track of money. But like somehow I just kind of figured it out. So I don't know. I wish I would have known.
And not to put it all in schools either, but I feel like that's a class that probably, I've heard that it's not even in our school districts here, but I feel like those are some real life lessons that need to be taught in the school as well. I mean, I understand at home too, but even in the school as well. I
agree. So talking about school, something I kind of broke mine down. So something I would tell my 6 to 10-year-old self is, you are smart enough. And everyone learns at their own pace.
That's good.
That came from, again, having a twin sister who was the smart one. So it was like, that's all you ever heard. Oh, Lisa the smart one. Ask Lisa. Lisa this, Lisa that, Lisa that. When it came to like education or stuff like that. And so it takes a toll on you as a child. Like, well, maybe I'm not the smart one.
Or like, you're not good enough.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, why should I even care at this point? I'm not the smart one. But it makes me think about my daughter as well, because I feel like she likes to learn, but she doesn't like to retain the information. And like, she knows it, but then she doesn't like to practice it. And so I have to be patient with her, because that's how I don't want her to hate learning because I'm upset with her or yelling at her trying to teach her something, because now she's not taking it in at all. Because I remember my brother trying to teach me stuff, and he would get upset about it, and then I would be like scared, like, so now I need help with my homework, and I'm scared to ask because I don't want to get yelled at. So it's like, that was something that I thought for my 6 to 10-year-old self, you are smart enough. Everyone learns at their own pace. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Like, you know what you know, and learning is a process. So just just because the kid next to you knows it, don't mean you're supposed to know it at the exact same time.
Yeah.
You have to learn it, and you have to learn your learning like process, what works for you.
That's good. I'll say this at a young age, since we're talking about school age, that my skin color is beautiful.
Oh, that's a good one.
You know, I mean, I was the dark. First of all, I was a little chubby. Well, I've always been a little thick. But being dark skinned back then, it was not. I mean, colorism is real in our community, whether people say it or not. And sometimes people say, oh, it's not real because they haven't experienced it, but I have, and I know it's real. But to understand that your skin color, no matter what shade you are, is beautiful.
Absolutely.
And God made us all different colors, shades and sizes. We're not supposed to be alike. And one thing that I do admire about this generation is that whole "my black is beautiful" or "black girl magic."
I agree.
You know what I mean? We didn't have that growing up.
No.
And now, and this audience that I'm talking to with these girls, they really like accept their blackness. You know what I mean? No matter what shade, they love who they are. And I really admire that about this younger generation. Like, they have the support. You know what I mean? And even growing up, boys like the light-skinned girls. You know what I mean? Or they chose them over you. You didn't really see. You know what I mean? You really weren't embraced by our own kind.
Absolutely.
Growing up like that.
And if you were, it was you're cute for a dark-skinned girl.
You're cute for a dark-skinned
girl.
girl.
And you're like, why just can't be a cute girl?
Right.
Why
and I hate that.
A cute dark skinned girl. I get it.
So I would definitely tell my younger self that you're beautiful, period. And this is not, I mean, I had a healthy home environment on both sides of my family, very healthy home environment. So a lot of things that I'm saying, this came from like school or just hanging out outside. You know what I mean? That's where you got your lessons from.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And your strength from. But I mean, even with my skin color, my shape getting older. You know what I mean? And then back then too, we wore baggy clothes. You know what I mean? Remember like the Aaliyah baggy jeans and like a tight shirt or something? But I wore baggy clothes because I thought my butt was too big.
Right.
Or I wasn't as big as I am now, but I didn't, and not that I needed to show anything off, nothing like that, but I covered up for more of an insecurity thing than to be like, to find something nice to wear.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So that kind of takes me into my next point. What I would tell my 14 to kind of 20-year-old self is be happy with the way you look. Because to your point, my butt got big the summer after 7th grade. So going into 8th grade, I was like, oh my gosh, like, why is my butt so big? Like, and it didn't even matter what pants I wore or anything.
Well, I know. And then the pants will be tight, but then around your waist, it'll be all big. So then when you wear the belt, it'll be the gappy bunches.
It was just so uncomfortable. And I remember the first day of school, we had uniforms. So I had on khaki pants. And they were wide leg, but they were so tight in the butt because my butt was so big. And I will never forget, all the boys was like, dang,
it's like embarrassing.
My God, like I was embarrassed. Like no.
Yeah.
But I say 14 to like 20 because I feel like even all that time in college, I was still so self-conscious about the way I looked because people always commented on my butt or my thighs, and I'm just like,
or in like my family, being in my family, I would get recognized in the store and be like, oh, you a Pfeiffer. You know what I mean? Shout out to the Pfeiffers, but y'all know, you know what I mean? And it's just like, okay, but who are you? You know what I mean? But it's like, don't come at me like that. That's not the first thing you have to say to me.
No. But, I mean, it did make me say, be happy with your image. And be happy with the way you look.
And dress accordingly.
Exactly. And it's just, I mean, it does get hard because it's embarrassing, but just embrace who you are.
Well, it was hard back then. Now
it was. Now I be like, baby, they pay for this body.
And that's another thing. That's what I was gonna say, because you talk the age of 14 to 20, they really don't like and they're getting work done now. Not knowing how they're gonna look in 10 or 15 years from now. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
People, the butt injections all over the place. It's just like, oh my God.
Girl.
But yeah, really just loving who you are. And it really does start from the inside out.
Absolutely.
Like, It really does. And that's one thing I think we should work on. I would tell my younger self that it wasn't on my list, but to really love yourself from the inside out.
Absolutely.
You know, having a kind heart, being, you know, helpful, serving others, being a blessing to others, encouraging other people, like smiling.
Yeah.
Being, you know what I mean? Smiling and just being friendly, being a nice person, like that's really what makes you attractive.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because somebody can be beautiful and of course have a nasty attitude and it's a wrap.
It's all bad.
You know what I mean? So another thing I would say is, for me, my voice is important. I remember I went to a private school for a little while, for a couple years, and I would never forget, I was trying to explain something. And it was a Christian private school, and I remember the pastor / principal, he came in, and I was like the only black girl at the time, and it was like a couple of black dudes in the class, and I think this was in like 9th grade. It was my last year there. But he came in, and I was trying to explain something. He was like, "Shut up! Shut your mouth!" Like, he was just I'm like, wait a minute, what? I'm like, it's not even me that, you know, what happened or whatever. And he just, like, repeatedly told me to shut up. And I don't think I've ever been the same since that day. You know, and I remember one time, like, fear, we talked about this before, but fear used to grip me really bad. And one time I was asking, like, God, where did that come from? Like, I don't remember being so fearful and afraid to give my opinion and afraid to talk to people. And, like, within this last year, that's what actually came back to me. Yeah. And I knew, like, I was never the same, you know, and I never felt like my voice mattered, like my opinion mattered. You know, afraid to speak up, afraid to say what I really wanted, and afraid to say no. You know, I became a people pleaser because I didn't want to make people mad. So I would just say to young people, like, your voice really does matter. I mean, of course, it's the way that you talk to people and the way that you deal with adults and talk, you know what I mean? But your voice, your opinion, you know, expressing yourself, all of that does matter. And we need to hear it. You need to let it out, if nothing else. Right. Because then, like, the thoughts and the mind, like, the insecurities just pile on because you're not saying how you feel. Yes. So that was one of mine.
So that actually takes me into my 25 to 30-year-old self. And I told my 25 to 30-year-old self a couple things I wish I would have been able to tell myself then. But one of them leading into that is, don't take my choice away. Don't let people take your choice away. And I feel like that came from being in the dating world and people not being honest about their situation. And they're taking the choice away from you, whether you want to deal with that person or not. And I mean, because I've talked to a couple different guys and gotten involved to a point where then they want to tell me the truth. Like, well, now I didn't expect this to go as far as it did, so now let me tell you this. And it's like, well, you should have told me that in the beginning and let me decide if that's something I want to deal with. Don't get me wrapped up and then decide to tell me certain things, because now I don't know you. That's not who I got wrapped up with. So taking me to my next point is, love isn't hard and love isn't hurtful. Right. And that's something that I wish I would have known earlier. Even in my high school dating years, I dated the same boy in high school and most of college. And thinking back on it, it was hurtful and it was hard. And it made me a person who didn't love myself. And it made me a person who became manipulative to guys. And it made me a person who I would be with a guy or date a guy or whatever, and it became what I can get from him, because I'm not going to let you hurt me. I'm not going to let you take away anything from me without me getting something back from it. So I just wish I would have known, like, love shouldn't be hurtful. And it's not painful. Like, are you going to go through hurtful situations? Of course. Are you going to go through painful situations? Of course. Will there be unhappy moments? Absolutely. But it should not scar you.
It should not be like taking the life out of you like that.
Exactly. Like, just exhausting. And I feel like that relationship was exhausting. Even to the point, I remember one time we was always breaking up, always back together, always breaking up. And at one point, I remember my daddy just casually like, "What y'all break up for this time?"
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, because I went through his phone and he was talking to a girl, and he was just like, "Why do you keep talking to him?"
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, why am I talking to him? Like, why? And it took something so traumatic for us to finally break apart. And it was just hurtful, and it was like, it did not have to be that way. I should have been left that alone, but I wish it didn't take something so traumatic to happen between us for me to be able to break those chains.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that goes back to just love you, be in control of your happiness. Do not let somebody else take control of that. And
that actually takes me to my next point, where everybody is not worth your time and attention.
Yes.
Everybody is not worth their presence in your life.
Absolutely.
Like if somebody's depleting you and you're constantly exhausted, why do you have that person around?
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I would tell myself, like, what are you doing?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes you have to have that, that book, Aha. You have to have like those aha moments. Yep. And it's just like, you just come to yourself like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Why are you,
why?
Relationships or friendships, whoever it is, like everybody's not worth your time and attention, because they're constantly taking something from you, and you're not benefiting at all.
Right.
Like a relationship is give and take on both sides. If they can't build you up, but they're always tearing you down, you need to let them go. They need to be out of your life. And even if they're not doing anything, you should not just be in no relationship where you just stagnant.
Right.
Friendships too. Like if y'all not growing or thinking on new levels together, if you the smart, like they say, if you the smartest one, you need some more friends. You know what I mean? But just everybody's not worth your time and attention.
Agreed.
I don't stay in places long. I don't go everywhere. You know what I mean? I mean, that had to be learned, but now I'm like, okay, what's going on? What's happening? And then decide if I go or not. You know what I mean?
Right.
But everybody's not worth your time and attention, and that's just something that I wish I knew back in the day. But like I said, these are just what we would tell somebody else,
Right.
And another thing is that people always will have an opinion.
Always.
People always will have an opinion about what you do, and what you're gonna do about whatever. And it's just like, learn to discern what's critiquing, and when people critique you, it'll come with a solution. It'll be somebody trying to help you and make you better.
Yes.
And you'll know the difference if somebody is trying to or jealous, or just being negative. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need that.
Yeah.
But just know, people always have an opinion. Don't let it stop what you do, unless you know within yourself if they telling the truth or not. But it's still about their delivery. They don't have to talk crazy.
So then, leading from that, all I would say is own your journey. Please God, not man.
For real.
And live for you, not others.
For real.
Others are going to always have something to say, but live for you. Please God, own your journey. Nobody else has to have that journey.
And can I just jump in there right quick?
Yeah.
Even when doing you, like we said earlier, we're going to make mistakes. But one thing I've learned now, and looking back on, just take accountability.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to be like, man, I messed up.
Yep.
And even where you are sometimes, even where you are right now, sometimes you may think it's other people's fault. Just be like, look, you're in control of your own happiness. Just accept accountability and move forward.
Yes. Honestly, because then you get stuck.
Yeah, you get stuck.
You don't need to be. Just say, I messed up. I shouldn't have did that. Lord, forgive me. Move on.
And move on. No, go ahead.
My last thing would be travel.
Yeah.
Travel, date, spend money, save money, and just learn life. Yeah. But have fun. It's your life. Have fun. Travel. Go out. Do things with your friends, your family. Real. Create those memories. Everybody ain't gonna be here with you forever. No. Create those memories.
And even if some young girls are watching right now, your friends right now in school that you holding on tight to and don't want to do nothing without them, y'all probably not gonna be friends when you get older. And that's okay.
Reality of it.
And right, and it's okay because you grow. That's fine. But don't stay back from doing something because you waiting on somebody else.
Right. I mean, and even if those are still your friends, they may not. You guys may not be as close as you were.
Right.
And
don't wait on nobody. Right.
That is okay.
Just don't wait on nobody if you're scared. Like, I was real scary. I didn't want to do nothing unless I had a friend with me. And not saying that I'm grateful for those times, but if you like, don't put off something you want to do waiting on somebody else.
Right. That's good.
One more other thing I probably would say was just understand that people are people. You know what I mean? Sometimes we put expectations on people and then we get mad when they don't meet those expectations.
Yes, girl.
But people are people. We have to give people room to fail us because they're not God. You know what I mean? And even putting people on pedestals, we cannot. People are people. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We all need a savior.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And just understanding that people are people, and that saying is true. Like, hurt people. You know, sometimes you have to see things for what it is. You know, even when people are going off about something, you have to understand, like, it's something behind them going off the way that they go off, and be like, you know what? Okay, I still love you, but I love you from a distance right now. You know, but and that's one thing I really had to learn. And looking back, like, understanding that, and this is something you really have to grow into, because, you know, the older you get, the more people you come across. But understanding that people are just people. You know, we put people on pedestals. Yeah. You know, and then we say they cancel. Right. But that's a different whole topic. Girl. But we put people on pedestals and we expecting all this. No. People are people, and let them be people. Absolutely. You know, and forgive.
And I was just going to say, forgive people.
And forgive.
You have to learn how to forgive people. That's not saying you accept the wrongs that they've done. You're just forgiving them, and you keeping your peace. Because you're forgiving them for those things. Yeah. And moving on to the next. Yeah. Now you see that person for who they are. Thank God that they showed you their true self. Forgive them. And move on accordingly.
Yeah, but forgive, and really forgive. Nobody is worth that. You know, they say, like, holding on to unforgiveness is like you drinking poison but expecting somebody else to die. Exactly. And that is so real. True. You know, all that, even in the times that we live in, holding grudges. You know, I actually didn't start holding grudges until I got older. You know, I used to be so forgiving, you know, but sometimes, you know, people make you like that. And I'm like, wait a minute, what am I doing? I didn't even hold grudges as a kid. Like, I'm not about to bring that on me and block my blessings, because that's what it does. Right. But, and then I guess my last one would be to know you really can do anything you put your mind to. Yeah. You know, like I said, I was a little scary back then, like afraid to step out and just do me. You know, certain things that I wanted to do in high school that I didn't do because afraid of other people's opinions and stuff like that. But just know you really can do anything, you know.
And the last thing that I'm going to finish off with is a quote I came across. His name is Ralph Waldo Emerson. I can't remember what he did or why he's important, but it's a long quote, but there's pieces of it that stuck with me, and it's finish every day and be done with it. Tomorrow is a new day. And that's just really finish every day and be done with it. Period. And don't wake up with yesterday's issues. Do you have to deal with yesterday's issues? Absolutely. But don't wake up with that hurt, that anger, or whatever it is. Move on the next day and move on accordingly. Like, what's my next step? So just finish every day. Even if it's a good day. Be the done with that day. That day is done. Go to sleep, get some rest, wake up, and start a new day.
The day is done. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Please share this video, like it, comment. What would you tell your younger self? We want to hear. Maybe we'll compile it. But hope you guys like our shirts. It's just some glasses that say "Made in His Image," because that's the most important thing, is knowing who we are in God. I'm never going to be like her. She's never going to be like me. You guys are never going to be like us. Just do what you've been called to do, what you're still in the earth to do. We still are here today, so it's obviously something you're in the earth to do. So just do it. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
All right, go on there. Oh, her dramatic walk to the microphone.
Hey, Black Child, do you know who you can be where you want to be if you try to be what you can be. Hey, black child, do you know where you're going? Where you're really going? Do you know you can learn what you want to learn if you try to learn what you can learn? Hey, black child, do you know you are strong? I mean really strong. Do you know you can do what you want to do if you try to do what you can do? Hey, black child, be what you can be. Learn what you must learn. Do what you can do. And tomorrow, your nation will be what you want it to be.